Okay, we're back to do part 2 of our series on jacket making in the Corbin S-type press. Just a quick review. In the first video we saw how to take copper strip, run it through the blanking die to create our little discs, then how to take the cupping die, turn the discs into our little 40 caliber cups that are the start of our bullet. We showed how this little piece on top of the draw punch aligns with that, gives us a good start on a fairly concentric jacket. After you're done with the blanking and the cupping that we've already done, the next obvious step is to draw and reduce until we get to our finished jacket. This set in its basic form is designed to make you a 22 caliber jacket with a nominal sidewall of 14 or 15 thousandths of an inch and a finished overall length of about 740 on the longest end, on down to whatever you choose for it to be. This equipment on this end of the table and this little gizmo down here will take us from our 40 caliber cup down to this little booger, which is nominally about 30 caliber, and then down to these, which are drawn to 22 caliber, at which point they are ready to be trimmed and run through your dies and made into bullets. This jacket right now is about 222 thousandths diameter. The sidewall's at 14 thousandths of an inch, and you can see, if you're looking at that, see how that mouth drew out at an angle? We call them ears, and they will manifest themselves in a number of ways throughout the process. Sorry, I had to cut away for just a second, dropped everything on the floor. As I said, the ears will manifest themselves in a number of ways. This is pretty common, a little angle on one side. Some people get worried about that, but there's no reason to. That's really a good thing. That's actually a sign that the uneven or inconsistent material in the process is being drawn out to one side or the other, and that's why we have a trimming die, which will take us to an even, finished, consistent length. And what we've got, if you can see that in the video, the low side right there is at 745 thousandths of an inch. When we set up in that adjustable trim die, we can trim it right to that edge, make a nice square even mouth, and it'll come out at 740 thousandths. Standard, just for reference, a standard bullet jacket in 22 caliber for your average 55 or 60 grain bullet is around 705 thousandths. Now, what we're looking for when we do these is consistency, concentricity. We want everything to stay aligned. In order to get there, we have a number of alignment devices built into our system. This is our universal die body. This will hold any of these inserts, and we'll go over those in a minute. It holds 3 inserts at a time. They go in from the top. A lot of you probably seen them where they come in from the bottom and they're held in with a snap ring. On this type die, because we want them to be very aligned, we come in from the top. These fit very, very precisely inside here. They're really, really snug. And what we've got, one of the hearts to this system, are these little stair-shaped gizmos. These ride on the draw punches, up and down. They aren't sprung. There's a couple of reasons I don't like to run a spring through them. We'll show you when we're drawing at a later step. This mechanism right here is fit really tightly into the bottom of that die. That helps you get a good alignment between the die and the punch. We also have a secondary alignment inside the draw insert. I don't know if it'll show up on the video, but there's a little tiny step in there. This also aligns very snugly with that. So you've got an alignment here and this alignment here. This is keeping things really, really aligned. And when you put that alignment plug on that punch, put one of those cups on there and run that up into the die. With the die in the press, you can take all the play right out of it before you tighten up that lock ring, and you'll have a good dead straight alignment between your punch, your cups, and your die. And it'll give you a very consistent, excellent sidewall. And what this does, there's even more redundant alignment here. These little punches are made for specific steps. This system right here is made to match the inside of that cup, and as you can see, pretty snugly. Snaps right in place. And it'll hold it right on there without any trouble. As we come into this first die, the first insert in every stage that you choose to make fits your previous cup very, very precisely. In other words, this is truly matched to that cup. We get down here to this 30 caliber setup. It's matched really precisely to it. So when you run them into the die, you're getting 3 or 4 separate steps of alignment to help keep everything square and straight. In practical application, you can go from 40 to the 30 to the 22, and you're ready to trim them off and use them. However, that's not going to work for everybody. With a smaller Corbin S press, it's quite possible to do it. There's some factors involved. How hard or soft is your metal? If you're to try one of these systems and it seems to be drawn really hard, you may need to anneal this cup. Or you may get a good draw from this cup to this cup, but from this cup down to 22, it may prove more than you're up to. I mean, it'll seem like you're standing on the press handle with both feet and going nowhere. The simple expedient of annealing this may smooth that right up. I cannot give you a hard and fast rule for where and when you're going to anneal, other than at some point between this disc and this finished product, it's probably a good idea to anneal. When we sell you one of these sets, I give you some guidelines on what to look for, how to anneal them, what's the best way to get a really good jacket. And I'll be honest, there's no hard and fast rules. You just need to experiment a little bit when you set your system up to find out what works for you, what gives you jackets that perform like you want. A lot of my customers, it depends on the material you buy here, but a lot of guys buy commercially made strip, which is sold in a fully annealed state already. So it cuts like butter, and it draws through 3 or 4 steps at a time without any issues. It's very easy to get from the disc to the 22 caliber jacket, at which point, once it's trimmed, give it an anneal and you're ready to go. We're going to do, in just a few minutes, I'll put a draw setup in. I'll show you one draw step. Drawing is pretty dang boring, you know, and it takes about 2 seconds. There's no reason to watch me do 1,000 steps. I'll show you one step through, and then in a separate video we're going to do the trimming, show you some tips on trimming. But this is basically all there is to making the jackets. Once you go through that first video and you make the disc, you make the cup, it's just a simple series of reductions to get you down to the finished product. These are extras. This is set up, of course, to fit the 30 caliber. This one is an extra because we've included extra steps. I said that it can be quite easy. It can be done in 2 steps. On the S press, it's quite possible to go 40 to 30 to 22, as I said. On the bigger press like the Walnut Hill, it becomes a lot easier. It's usually pretty simple to go 40, 30, 22. And on something like Corbin's Megamite, it's an absolute breeze, and of course the hydraulics are nothing. It's even possible to make more extreme draws than this on a hydraulic press, as long as your alignment's good. What we've included for you is several extra dies for the draw die set to give you the option of making intermediate steps in the operation. If you're finding it difficult with your S press or even with your Walnut Hill, and the material you have to go 40, 30, 30, 22, we've included dies that will let you go 40 to about 33, then 33 to 30, 30 down to 27 or 25, 25 down to 22. We have 2 of them here. These are actually 2 different 22 caliber dies that I always like to include. This one actually makes a jacket at about 225 thousandths. This one makes a jacket that comes out at about 222 thousandths. 222 is actually just a tad under where we want to be for a finished jacket, but you need a little clearance for this trim die, so that when you trim it and eject it, it'll expand up a few tens. You end up at about 225 or 2225, 2228. In other words, perfect jacket. A lot of guys like to draw this down, get to this step where you normally go 30 to 22, and they will go from 30 to this larger 22, and then draw from 22 to the finished 22. It's a very easy step. There's almost no resistance, and I actually include a spacer die for this. I understand why they do it. It does make it very smooth, and some guys think it makes a more concentric jacket doing it that way. To each their own, whatever it takes to get the best product for you, and we wanted to include all of the necessary dies to make this as easy on you as possible. So before I cut away and set this up to do a draw, like I say, this will, it's, as I said, it's quite possible to do this in the 3 steps. You may want to take as many as 6. It's up to you. You're the one making them. I don't know if you're going to try to do these commercially. If you are, I think I would prefer to do power versus hand. If you're doing your own, this is your hobby, 1 or 2 extra steps, and it saves a little arm muscle. Isn't a bad way to go. But I'll cut away right here. I'll set a die up, and I'll show you what it takes to draw that cup from 40 down to 30. Give you a little idea, and we'll take it from there.